Hi friends, Scott Thurston here. My son Matthew behind the camera with a short video on some aspects of mold making and slip casting and fettling vase. So the tools that we use for fettling are, I use this fettling knife. It's actually not a fettling knife, but it's a dull blade that you get at Pottery Supply. Some water, a sponge, and a banding wheel. I've made a mold out of pottery plaster #1, and I've taken to using Andrew Martin's ratio, which is 100 of water to 143 of plaster by weight. There's different ratios on the There's different ratios on the internet from 130 to 150, but 143 seems to work the best for me. I hold the mold together. It's just a two-piece mold. I hold it together with adjustable bungee cords that you can buy at Harbor Freight for a few bucks, and they work great. I spin the mold when I pour the slip out of it to get the sides of the vase even. That's why there's trash all over the top of the mold. And then I'm just going to take off a little bit of the spare, and I'll do the rest of it in a second. The slip that I use is cone 7.5 slip. I take it probably a little bit higher than that. It takes over a cone 8 cone usually, and it works really good. I leave the slip in the mold for 30 minutes and then pour it out. I've left this vase overnight, and so it's dried overnight, and I'm gonna just while it's still in the mold, I'm gonna take off this side of the spare dried slip above the rim.
We live in Louisiana, so drying times might vary if you live in a drier climate.
Yeah, it takes a long time for things to dry here. Probably in a normal place, you could fettle a piece in 4 or 6 hours easily. I have tried it all different ways, and I actually like to do it when the piece is a little drier. My mold isn't perfect, so the bottom isn't perfect, so I just clean up the bottom a little bit. I just clean up the bottom a little bit on this side while it's still in the mold. And I take a little bit here along the seams while it's still in the mold. Just seems to be a little bit easier. Okay, and because it's almost completely dry, it comes out of the mold very easily. Then I just make the bottom even because the bottom of my mold isn't perfect, and I'm going to put this, let me get a piece of paper here. I'm going to put this on a banding wheel and a piece of paper. And the first thing I do is take off the other side of the rim, and the object is to try and get the same amount of clay left all the way around the rim so the rim comes out looking even. And it's dry enough so that if things fall inside the vase, I can just turn it over and blow the pieces out. I take a little piece of this semi-dried slip and put it in the water, and if I need to, I'm going to use that to repair any defects. So the rim comes out looking like this, and then I'm going to go around the inside of the rim with the knife and try and even up the amount of clay that's left on the rim. And all of this is going to smooth out, and when I'm finished, the rim is going to look pretty good. Maybe not perfect, but it's going to look pretty good. So before I drip any water in the bottom, I'm just going to blow this thing out. Get all the trash out of it. Fettle is from a word that is usually used with metal casting, and to fettle is to clean up the seams on a metal cast in industry, and potters have appropriated the word and they use it for cleaning up slip cast items. I make crystalline glazed pottery, and so this vase is going to be glazed with a crystalline glaze. Things that I've learned from Farrah Shimbo's book, or Diane Krieber's book, or Phil Hamling's internet site, or talking to William Melstrom in Austin. So I take a sponge that's intermediate between being super wet and dry, and I go 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What I've found is if you make more than 5 strikes with the sponge, the casting will get too wet and it starts to get floppy. And so you have to clean it up with 4 or 5 strokes, and then you have to wait and let it dry a little bit. Now, some people say to do this horizontally and some people say to do it vertically. I've taken to just going horizontally like this across the seam, probably just giving about 5 or 6 strokes to the seam, and then I just go up and down, just smooth things out. And I'm going to end up doing this whole process about 4 or 5 times. And I like to do it until the seam is invisible, if it'll go away completely. It turns out it's pretty difficult to get these seams to go away completely if you use a glaze that is translucent or transparent. So part of the trick is to put a little bit of opacity in your glaze to get rid of the seam finally. Then I'll work on the bottom a little bit here, and I'm just going to smooth it out. This vase doesn't seem to have any pinholes or any defects in it. If it did, I would take that little slip that I have in the water. I would take that piece and use it to repair a little pinhole or a defect, but this looks okay. So it's dried up a little bit now. I'm going to go with 4 or 5 more strokes, and you can see the rim is looking better and better. I guess it's possible to make a mold where the rim comes out perfect, but I'm not sure how to accomplish that. So then I'll repeat the process. And the seam is almost gone. Probably have to do this 2 more times on each side, and then the vase will be fettled. I'll let it dry naturally. Most slip cast ware I bisque fire to cone 04, although sometimes I do it to cone 010 if I want to sand it a lot, or sometimes cone 07, so I haven't quite decided on everything. And then the crystalline glaze I run to a temperature of 2264 or 2270, which is about cone 7.5 or getting close to cone 8 in heat work. And I run it up as fast as I can with an electric kiln with a controller, and then I drop the temperature to 1940 degrees and hold it for 3 hours. Then I drop it to 1900 degrees and hold it for another hour, and that gives pretty nice crystals with a little bit of variety. And that's just one of many ramps that we've used to try and accomplish different effects. So that's a fettled slip cast vase. Okay, bye.